Good morning, Nova Scotia. I'm Dan, and this is Lighthouse Local for Thursday, July 16th. Here are today's top stories from across the province. Our top story comes from Wolfville. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston is continuing his province-wide summer listening tour today after a protest outside Acadia University turned violent on Wednesday afternoon. Following a speaking engagement with the Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce, protesters surrounded the Premier's vehicle as he attempted to leave. According to the Premier's office, some members of the crowd climbed onto the vehicle, pushed against RCMP officers, and smashed the windshield with the Premier still inside. RCMP escorted Premier Houston back into the building before he later left the area safely in a police vehicle. Police say one man was arrested at the scene and later released without charges as investigators continue gathering evidence. No injuries were reported. The incident drew condemnation from leaders across the political spectrum. Prime Minister Mark Carney said Canadians have every right to peaceful protest, but violence and intimidation have no place in our democracy. Nova Scotia NDP leader Claudia Chender said people have every right to voice their concern, but violence and property damage are unacceptable. Nova Scotia Liberal leader Derek Mombriquet also condemned the incident, calling for respectful dialogue and peaceful political expression. The Premier is expected to continue his summer listening tour with a stop today in Yarmouth. Wednesday also marked another significant dry day at Province House as political debate continues over the provincial budget. Opposition parties remain critical of the government's spending priorities, including funding reductions affecting libraries, art organizations, and environmental initiatives. Those issues were among the concerns raised by demonstrators outside Wednesday's event in Wolfville. Nova Scotians are being reminded to stay wildfire aware as warm, dry summer conditions continue across much of the province. Before lighting any outdoor fire, check the daily burn restrictions and use extra caution if you're spending time in wooded areas. Here's your weather for Halifax. Expect a sunny start to the day before clouds begin to build this afternoon. There's a 60% chance of showers late in this afternoon, along with the risk of a thunderstorm. Winds will become west at 30 kilometers an hour, gusting to 50 near noon. The high today is 26 degrees, although it will stay cooler along parts of the coast at around 18 degrees. With the humidity, it will feel closer to 29. The UV index is 7, which is considered high. Tonight, skies will become partly cloudy, with a 60% chance of showers early this evening, and a continued risk of a thunderstorm before clearing later tonight. Winds will ease this evening with an overnight low of 13 degrees. On the sports front, the Halifax Wanderers continue preparing for their next Canadian Premier League match as they look to build momentum during the second half of the season. The Halifax Mooseheads remain in off-season mode as preparations continue for training camp later this summer. The club is still searching for a permanent radio broadcast partner following the loss of its previous broadcaster, a story we will definitely continue to follow at Lighthouse Radio. In Major League Baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays continue their series tomorrow against the White Sox as they battle to strengthen their position in the American League playoff race. Looking ahead today, Premier Tim Houston is scheduled to continue his summer listening tour with a visit in Yarmouth later today. If you're traveling anywhere across the province, it's always a good idea to check 511 Nova Scotia for the latest highway conditions, construction zones, and traffic delays before heading out. And with another warm summer day on tap, always remember to check today's burn restrictions before lighting any outdoor fire. Looking for something to do this week? Visit the community calendar at lighthouseradio.ca to discover community events happening across Nova Scotia. If your nonprofit organization or community group has an upcoming event, you can submit it free of charge to be on the calendar through our website. That's your Lighthouse Local for Thursday, July 16th. If you witness breaking news, have a community event you'd like to cover, or a story happening in your neighborhood, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out through lighthouseradio.ca or send us a message on social media. I'm Dan. Thank you for listening. Have a safe and wonderful Thursday, and we'll see you tomorrow for another edition of Lighthouse Local, keeping Nova Scotians informed, connected, and part of the conversation.